It's an all too brief Advent this year. So the best way I know how to encourage you to have a fruitful Advent is that you would use these days to create sort of an opening in you, and I for my part, as well that perhaps can make a space for the great feast in all of us of Christmas. I learned it as 40 of us were walking the Camino in northern Spain from a person of no faith who was from Denmark, but who ended up helping me in my faith. And all this guy did was to ask if he could give me a word. Out of the blue, this dude comes up to me and says, "I'd like to give you a word. Are you open to it?" I learned later that in the earliest years, after the death of Jesus around the 3rd century, men and women would go into the desert just to meditate on the scriptures and on the wisdom of Jesus. And they wanted to continue to take his words seriously, as it seemed already in those early years after the death of Jesus, people were beginning to water down what he was saying, water down his life. But these men and women who went into the desert, they were hardcore. Radical silence, radical solitude, radical simplicity of life. Many followed them out there into the desert. Many people from the cities went out to see them, and they went just to receive a word. One word. Many followed them out there in the desert just to receive that word. Just one word that they could hold as they made their way back into their busy lives. A word that they could reflect on, hold in their hearts, talk about with friends, turn over throughout the day. And maybe for us, between classes and during study breaks and at stop signs, just even coming to church. And begin to let that holy word work on us, take root in us. A word that could create in you and me a space in which you can hold something of the mystery that is God and God's anointed. Abba, Amma, give me a word, they would say. Give me a word. So to practice as they did and help us into the holiness of this brief Advent, I have a word for you. But like for them, you have to ask for it. You have to ask out loud as if you really want to hear it. Out loud right now. If this is the truth, you have to say, "Abba Gary," means Father Gary, "give me a word." Do you want a word?
Abba Gary, give me a word.
I do have a word for you. The word is longing. Longing. It is to be held. It is to be turned this way and that. It is to be considered in peace and openness. It's to be held throughout the day, calling it to mind so that it can help you make a space in you and in our world for the divine. Longing is at the heart of every human being. It's a heart of this gospel that commands us to watch and wait. Longing is why we watch and wait. There's no human heart that does not long. Everybody longs for something or someone, somewhere. We ignore it to our own peril. The heart is where this longing lives. To touch it, to feel it, to let it lead us, to let it reveal, to let it teach me and about the mystery of God. Perhaps to even let it lead us to creating something. A poem, a song, a letter, a homily. Longing comes with its own sadness, mostly for most of us. Sadness over the not yet in our lives. It can also come with some anger, frustration, or it can cause some real-time anxiety, this longing. It is just oh so human. What I discovered in the last 2 days in this practice of holding the word longing for myself is the transfiguration of my aloneness. I was out in the woods writing 4 talks that are coming up soon and watching a workshop that I had signed up for young Catholic scholars. And in the solitude of that place, just with this piece of paper and a pen, I saw how transfigured my aloneness actually became. It is the secret core of a person receiving this overdue invitation from anything, from anyone, beautiful. From anything like the sun and the moon and the stars at night. From anyone like that guy or girl over there. Yes, it is felt in the longing and possession of romantic love. One student described it to me just like in these words. It's as if my body was being loaned to someone else, and something else takes over my senses, and I no longer know myself. Who among us has not known that longing? Beauty of any sort calls us to come forth toward something or someone new and as yet unrealized, including to the purpose of my life, your vocation. One poet describes it as divine discontent, this longing, divine discontent that never really leaves us, and it leads us. It leads us out to finding a path to something as yet unrealized in our lives. It's a longing that frightens and emboldens. It humiliates and beckons. It makes us into pilgrims in this world. It can be a longing so powerful that it makes us willing to give up our perfect homes, our paid-for homes, or accumulated belongings, even our family of origin. It brings that horizon out there so close, a horizon that seems like both a lifetime journey away and living deep inside of us at some unknown core. The trouble with this longing is that it most constantly knocks us off our high horse. It knocks us off our high horse of thinking we are somehow complete all by ourselves, and that we are all we need, that we are independent of some of these needs in us and other people. It's this sense that we are in control. It happens where the sense that we're in control of our lives gets pierced and wounded by this experience of longing for something or for someone or for some future. We experience ourselves like a child, one person wrote. We experience ourselves like a child lost in a panicked, moving crowd. If you've ever been lost in an apartment store, you know what that's like. Longing is nothing without its dangerous edge, which cuts and wounds as well as sets us free. The foundational instinct that we are here essentially, you and I, to risk ourselves for that for which we long, to risk ourselves in the world for the world, and that you and I, we are here as a form of invitation to others to do the same. That we are meant to take the risk, hazard ourselves for the right things, for the right woman, the right man, for a son or a daughter, for the right work, for our marriages, to be a priest, or for a gift given against all the odds. One of my favorite spiritual writers writes, "In a moment of longing, it's as we are like a creature suddenly stunned and gripped in the talons of a passing hawk, to we know not where." In longing, we move and are moving from a known but abstract elsewhere to a beautiful, about to reached someone or something or somewhere, and ultimately to God. We want that place to be called our own. That's the longing. Unlike today, the old women and men, the old Ammas and Abbas of the desert, really only gave one word, and the seeker did all the work of letting it unfold. But not this time, this first Sunday. Not this first Sunday. I hope I did not exhaust your own experience of longing by reflecting on what I was reflecting on the last couple of days. The word I give you for your meditation to begin your Advent is simply that one word: longing.